Hello and welcome to Hydra Collectibles, where we let our geek flag fly. My name's Luke and I'm your host, and today we're going to be doing part 2 of my Young Rich Toys 1 in 6 scale Miles Morales action figure.
Okay guys, so this is my second part of my Young Rich Toys Miles Morales figure review. This is the 1/6 scale Miles Morales figure, and as you can see I have purposely chosen to put him in his Spider-Man Halloween costume. If you check back on my first video of this figure, we go into much more detail about the different accessories that were provided. Now, upon seeing this figure and amongst making my decision of which figure to actually purchase, because there are in fact two, we had the option of regular Miles along with this Halloween Spider-Man costume, or a Miles more better suited for his comic book Spider-Man costume. Now, this particular figure had a lot less going for it, in my opinion, because you were literally just left with the Miles in Spider-Man costume. Yes, you had the different heads and you could have him masked or unmasked, but that was pretty much it. I feel like this particular figure gave us a lot more options, and I really do love this, makeshift Spider-Man look. I just think it's so cool to see a young kid aspiring to be that superhero. And, I love Spider-Verse, and this was one of my favourite costumes that Miles wore within that. Now, obviously, the Spider-Man suit that he creates for himself is awesome in its own right. This particular suit is actually very hard to find in action figure form because there are actually three Miles Morales Hasbro figures out there of this 1 in 6 scale size. Um, One of them is referred to simply as a Miles Morales figure. One is the Arachne Kid, and one of them, of course, is the Into the Spider-Verse version here, which I have pictured with Titan superhero toys from Hasbro. So here it is. Here's the figure. You can see, just by looking at them both, that there is a slight difference in height. The Young Rich Toys figure is actually a lot smaller than a regular sized action figure. So I'm not sure if this is actually going to work, but my plan is to try and utilize some of the additional items, additional costume bits that came with the figure on this Hasbro one and see what we can actually create. So just giving you a little look there, we can see it's very different. It's not the typical Miles costume that we would see in the comic books. This is the Miles costume that we would see in the Into the Spider-Verse movie, which in my opinion is the better costume. I like that he wasn't just given it. I like that he modified one of Peter Parker's original suits to suit his own means. Okay, so yeah, out of the box, this figure is actually quite a fair bit chunkier than the Young Rich Toys Miles Morales. As you can see, that one actually sits on a stand, and so therefore is that much more higher off the ground. And you can still see that the top of the head still don't exactly match in size. My biggest concern here is possibly the shoulders. I think these are quite broad shoulders. I'm not too sure if these outfits are going to work or not, but let's give it a try. Let's see what we can do. Okay, guys, so here we have the secondary figure that I was able to create using the spare parts from the Young Rich Toys pack, as well as the Titan Heroes Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Miles Morales figure from Hasbro. Now, as mentioned, the Hasbro figure was a lot bigger than the custom-made body for Miles Morales from Young Rich Toys, but I think I've kind of made it work. Given how I'm going to choose to display this piece, which you can see here, um, I'm really proud of it. I think it does work. I think it looks awesome, and I, for one, am very happy. Now, this doesn't mean that there wasn't issues along the way. I spent a lot of time in my back garden sawing away at the arms and the back of this Hasbro figure in order to get these clothes to fit it. Was that time well spent? No. Was it extremely difficult? Yeah, more so than I would care to admit. The actual arms underneath this clothing are literally now like little plastic sticks, barely holding together. It is mostly the shoulder joints that are the problem. These joints are very large, big, like ball joints. They're solid plastic, and you can't really cut them down. Now, obviously, you could remove those arms completely and replace them with some new additions, some custom made items, sure, but whether or not you can get that movability with them remains to be seen. You don't really want them just kind of hanging down by his side. So overall, I'm happy. So let's just take a little closer look. Let's move him to the foreground so that you guys can see. So as you can see, this is as good as I could get him to pose. Because of the width of his shoulders, there is just no way that this clothing could fit him any better than it does. The clothing across his back there is extremely tight, and I was so concerned with ripping the jacket because, you know, yes, okay, it is spare given that I've decided to keep Miles in this fashion, but I don't want to ruin it. You know, I paid a lot of money for this. The trousers fitted perfectly. It would be lovely to have the spare shoes on this figure, but with the size of these ankles and these calf muscles, there is no way that they would be able to fit. Sure, you could sand them down, you could fill them, you could make it work, but overall I think it would just look quite odd and quite weird. I had to cut off the hands in order to get the jacket on. This jacket was a lot harder than the hoodie. The hoodie went on relatively easy, even without modification. But that jacket, that is the tightness. But as you can see, I mean, the broad shoulders compared to this much slender figure is such a big difference. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I spent a lot of time butchering this figure. All under here, as I mentioned, is literally, you know, two very thin sticks of plastic holding this whole pose together. Would I advise people to do the same? I guess it depends if you're going to choose to display your figure or if you actually want it to play with and move around. If it's just for display purposes and you're going to keep it in one stance, in one position, then sure, go for it. You know, modify it as best you can, get this clothing to fit, put it on your display, and just enjoy the visual. But if you're going to be wanting to put it on in order to get your figure into different poses and different movability, this Hasbro figure just isn't going to cut it. You know, there are no real joints. You've only got a head tilt and the arms up and down and the wrists to swivel side to side. Now, I did have to cut the hands off, like I say, to get the jacket to fit. And so gluing them back on means that you now lose that swivel motion on those arms. But like I say, overall, I am very happy with it. And I do have plans to try and get the final bits of the Young Rich toys into use for this display. So what we have left is some multiple different hand pieces, as well as Miles's head, a t-shirt, and a pair of trousers. Probably not going to use the clothing, to be honest, but certainly that Miles head. If I can get another 1/6 scale body to go on to fit with that head, I think that there is potential there to make a third Miles figure from this batch. So please stay tuned because that video may very well be coming soon.
So there you have it. That's part 2 of my 1/6 scale Miles Morales action figure videos. Will there be a part 3? Possibly, who knows. I have in fact already ordered a 1/6 scale body, and you know, we've got the head here, so let's see what that looks like when we piece it together. Obviously these bodies are going to be a lot bigger than the custom made Miles body that came with Young Rich toys, so it's going to be ever so slightly off. There's going to be something a little out with it, but you know, let's give it a try. Let's see if it works. If you enjoyed this video, or if you enjoy any of my videos on my channel, please hit that like button. Please leave a comment to discuss anything that you found interesting, and if you're not already subscribed, please do so. I cannot stress enough how much that means to help my channel grow. I appreciate you all, and until next time, I'll see you in another life. Take care.